Hey. All right. All right. Well, if you're listening the day after, then you don't really know what the hell really goes on with the tightrope act that is the nightly show live. But it's 7:38 p.m. and I'm just starting right now. We had a 38-minute delay because, OBS put out an update, and that led to a urgent need to go update all the video drivers here. And of course that took forever, several restarts, and it's just, I always talk about opportunity and optimism, and I have a lot of that. I have faith in humanity, and but every once in a while you can tell, not every once in a while, all throughout your life, you can tell the years that are really going to give it to you personally. And let me tell you, it started with a sniffle. 2025 for Frank started with a sniffle on Monday, December 30th. That's what happened. Started with a sniffle, and it has not stopped since. So we just take what's dealt, and we try to act and learn as quickly as possible. Try to keep your wits about you as long as you can, and then catch a wave if we see one coming. I'd like to catch a couple of waves this year. That would be nice. Anyway, 7:39 p.m. Welcome to the show. It's going to be abridged, obviously, because we still have to end around 8:55 so that I can start the third of 4 sessions for Book Club, Fahrenheit 451's Book Club. And, but yeah, either way, at 9 o'clock, the after hours programming will be live on quitefrankly.tv, and you guys will be able to enjoy that. And that's where we are. It is the 21st day of January 2025. So greetings to all of our friends on quitefrankly.tv, the Rumble, the YouTube, the Twitter, the D-Live, and the Rockfin, even the Kick, where I think one person watches there. So we'll see how long we can experiment with that before we just try to save the bandwidth. But anyway, as of right now, Dr. Robin McCutcheon is on tomorrow. But depending on what we lose tonight, I may have to do some finagling because we're losing Thursday night due to some more decorating and attention I have to pay to things at Studio A. But Friday night, I think we're going to spend some time on an Antarctica thread that I've been waiting to do for a long time, especially since in realizing that the whole egg-shaped UFO thing that really was hyped up over the weekend and just crashed and burned with anybody observing it. That took place with Antarctica as well. Well, I want to go back to the only Antarctica thread that really sticks out in my mind, and that's the arachnid thread. So we can do that. And also, there was a chance at the second hour of tonight's show we would have been able to get into essentially Project Stargate. Stargate with OpenAI, SoftBank, and Oracle. Oracle we were just talking about last night a little bit in my musing about what the hell the TikTok ban was ever really about, what the real threat from TikTok was really. If there is a threat from a platform like TikTok, where does it come from? Does it really come from China? I think that just logically, even if you're not a sleuth, logically it makes no sense. Because if you have a real, true enemy state out there, an avowed enemy of our government, why on earth are they going to be why are they going to censor everything? Especially ever since the whole Texas thing with Oracle. There's like a $1.5 billion investment into data management and all that stuff to have TikTok operating over here in the U.S. It is not China. I mean, some people might be able to put their finger on it a little bit better than I, but the Oracle thing, the fact that they're popping up right now, and it has everything to do with AI and these quantum chip things. We have to get into it because it's nuts, especially on a healthcare level. With Larry Ellison out there talking about how they want to deploy AI to find and detect cancer earlier than ever before. And then, and with that in itself, I see even the early studies of AI doing better in diagnosing disease than actual trained doctors. And that's just in its infancy, really. We were talking about that maybe about, I don't know, before just around the holidays we're about to kick off. I think we talked about it with Bob Mata, and then we just expanded it out there. But, you know, you go with that, and then you go to something like from cancer to... Hello? What are you doing here? Oh my gosh. How you feeling? How you doing?
Good.
You know, Daddy's having a rough night, but seeing you makes me happy.
Why do you have a rough night every night?
I don't have a rough night every night. What are you talking about? I had a rough night with the computer.
Why?
I don't know. That's the whole point. I don't know. Tell everybody that you had the sniffles the other day, and what did you take for the sniffles and they went away?
I had the sniffles and I had medicine.
No, but what was the medicine?
I don't know. Elderberry.
Elderberry?
Yeah.
And
lemon balm.
Elderberry and lemon balm? What did it taste like?
It tastes like sweet and juicy.
Sweet and juicy?
Bye.
Well, thank you for making me happy. All right, love you. Okay. People are like, I'd rather not entrust space travel to a guy who does a Nazi salute. Boy, were the ratios incredible. People just today were figuring out that space travel in the United States was largely a Nazi product. It's wonderful to sit back and watch dumb people who are paid to play the roles of smart people. Economics and ethics at UMass Amherst. People that teach our children don't know that Nazis were essentially our space program after World War II. That and rampant occultists. Incredible. And who is Marianne Budd? You know who she is? Well, I don't know. Probably one of the women that was making Donald Trump fall asleep today. I saw everybody like, hey, does anybody want to write a report on Donald Trump falling asleep at the National Cathedral today? 78-year-old, 78. Did you see him kicking ass yesterday? Did you see him all over the place the last 36 to 48 hours? Up to all night? How many speeches? Dancing with a sword in his hand last night. I was watching it on Quite Frankly.tv. Then he has to go to the National Cathedral today and get berated for 9 hours by gotta get berated for 9 hours by lesbian deacons. Oh my gosh. I would have, as soon as I walked into that cathedral and saw a lady in the frock walking right out. Not putting up with this shit. But Trump did. And I don't blame him for taking a little bit of a snooze. You got to listen to that crap. Even the Pope. Hey, what about this? We have a brand new Gulf of America, and there's a blizzard warning down there right now. This is unprecedented. A blizzard warning has been issued for the I-10 corridor down the Gulf of Mexico. Not for long. In southeastern Texas through southwestern Louisiana. Let me get this up on screen. Hold on a second. There you go. From Port Arthur and Beaumont, or Beaumont, through Lake Charles and Lafayette. I repeat, a blizzard warning is in effect for even the Golden Nugget Casino in Lake Charles. Anybody down there right now is experiencing this blizzard? That's incredible. So I guess this is the inaugural blizzard of the Gulf of America. All right, well, with that, I'm just going to kick this one off. I have a special guest for you. I'm going to be calling somebody up right now. And last night, if you are tuned into our Telegram or anywhere else, I just wanted to let everybody know that we had a great update. Special guest. You remember last January, we had a guy on. His name was Taylor James Jonatakis. And at that time, he was awaiting sentencing for his presence at the Capitol, January 6th, 2021. And guess what? Last night, I checked in on him again through our friend who actually hooked me up with him in the first place. And I said, hey, anything moving and shaking over there? Well, I had this wonderful update. And it was from his Taylor's wife saying that they had gotten word that night that he was all of his papers were being processed, and they were going to release him around 11:30 p.m. last night. They were shipping him up and getting him out. And you know what? I told our friend Bryce, who is friends of Taylor, I said, hey, listen, let him know we've been thinking about him ever since, because the last time we talked to him, they cut off the line, and that was it. That was it. He was sentenced a couple of days later. I said, let him know anytime he wants to talk to us. Obviously, he has to settle in with his family, get his stuff, but anytime he wants to come and talk to us, I think a lot of people would love to hear from him. They got back to me immediately, said, oh, he is ready for you tonight. He's so excited. We're going to call him up right now. Whoa.
Hello.
Hello, is this Taylor?
This is. How you doing?
Taylor, this is Frank. It's so great to hear from you.
Oh, Frank, it's good to hear your voice again. I missed listening to your podcast.
Dude.
It's been a long time.
I just, the last time we spoke, you were awaiting sentencing. We were cut off in mid-sentence. It was a very heavy phone call. I never experienced anything like that before. And obviously what you were experiencing on the other end is something otherworldly. But I would love, I don't want to take too much time away from you and your family, but I would just love to ask you some questions about the time that we lost touch from last January to right now. I'm so grateful for it. But, I guess just first initial thoughts and feelings. Tell us how you're feeling right now that you're a free man.
Oh, man, I am free at last. It's hard to describe the comparison. I feel like I'm in a whole different world. This time yesterday, I was sitting in a segregated room watching the news. I guess at this point in the evening, we just found out we were going to be pardoned. There was a lot of information. They didn't tell us what they were. Donald's extremely tight-lipped, position extremely tight-lipped. And so we just had rumors. We had a lot of people knew a guy who said that this would happen, or someone had a third hand. I was watching the news constantly, trying to figure out what the plan was. And I was getting pretty worried. I actually had mentioned to my wife, I said, a lot of times when, no plan, no waiting for a miracle, a lot of times the miracles don't. And we were getting really concerned. We were really concerned that, politics is a dirty game, that Donald split the baby, so to speak, and, create some kind of case-by-case review that would take months and months. And I tell you, every federal day is a long time. And anybody who's been can tell you that. When you're in the middle of your sentence, you're just trying to make time go by. Sure, days can kind of because they're monotonous. But you have a release date and you're counting down the days. It is excruciating. And it was doubly because not only were we counting down to the election, then we were counting down the days to inauguration. And then we were counting the minutes for inauguration and if we would type of relief or pardon or anything. It was very open-ended. And so I couldn't be more thankful to Donald Trump for following through with what he said he would do and for being broad with it and letting us all out of prison. It was really an untenable situation to think that he would keep us in prison while he was president and had this out. And, it was amazing. When we last talked, I don't know if anybody ever told you what, but we were, we go in our rooms, our cells, and we'd kind of shut the door, prop it closed. So it was closed, but it wasn't locked. And I was able to talk to you, and I had the issue with the phone. And so our third party friend, Bryce, his friends did a three-way phone call, and people do three-way phone calls all the time. It's against the rules.
Taylor, just for a second, I don't want to lose a syllable of what you're saying, but your phone right now is the connection is a little choppy. You actually sounded better in prison. So I'm wondering if you can like get closer to the router. I know if you're on a cell phone, or do you have a landline you can call me back on? I just don't want to lose anything of this story.
I don't have. Is this any better?
So far, am
Is
I
this any better?
a little? Am I on speakerphone by any chance?
Let's see. Is this any better? Is this any better?
It's really when you talk it to an extended. Anyway, let's see what we can make work. If this is the only option, we'll make it work. But you said a couple of things that I already was intending on asking you, because the timeline, of course, between January of 2024, you were still waiting to be sentenced, and it was shortly after you and I spoke by way of Bryce that your sentence that came down was what, 7 years?
Yeah, 7 months, 7 years and 3 months. Brutal, absolutely brutal. They actually used our last time we spoke. They actually used it in my sentencing because I said, I pushed a gate, and they took real exception to that. Well, you didn't just push him and do violence, and they threw all kinds of accusations that just aren't true, in my opinion, and tried to use the time I was on your podcast to give me the top of the guidelines on the sentencing chart.
They actually used
7 months.
They used statements that you made with me last year to try to make your sentencing even more harsh.
Your podcast featured in my sentencing hearing and was in the judge's memorandum. Yeah, he mentioned Quite Frankly a podcast, and then he read out the URL. Quite Frankly underscore no, he like all out, and yeah, it did.
Wow. Now, okay. Now let's go from there, because obviously we lost contact. I only got a couple of updates from Bryce throughout the year. I would email him, but it was not possible for us to talk again. But here's the other thing I got from all this 2024. Talk about just 2024 behind bars, because we were all waiting with bated breath to see just how this was all going to shake out, but no one had more on the line in this election than people like you, because how close were you guys in there following everything? What the hell did you and your fellow inmates think of the assassination attempt in July? I mean, the fact that probably your only shot, because there was no other Republican candidate that was viable that would have been able to pull this off. Your only shot was Donald Trump winning. Just talk a little bit about following the crazy roller coaster that was 2024 campaign, especially the assassination attempt. How close we came to disaster with that.
Man, I remember the assassination attempt. I was walking to the chow hall, and an inmate coming down said, "Hey, Donald Trump just got," and I was like, "What? Okay." Well, I got all other.
Taylor. I'm sorry. This is really not doing you justice right now. The connection is awful. Is there? Do you know?
I'm so sorry.
Is there anybody around you that has another phone, or there's no landlines? There's nothing.
No, unfortunately, I'm in rural Missouri. I'm on a Wi-Fi. Do this. Why don't you? Can you give them a call back, and the connection gets better on a fresh call? I'll clear out my phone if it helps. I have been on calls, and they were better earlier today.
Okay. Well, if you want to call me, it's the open line.
I'll call you.
200-0269. You can call me right back if you'd like.
Okay, I'll call you back in just one moment.
Okay, you got it. I'm sorry, everybody. I really want this to be clear, and I can't imagine you all were having a very easy time with that. I don't want to assume what he's saying. I want to hear what he's saying. It's a very important testimony. Man, we were in a court. Taylor, you there? Taylor?
Hey, is it any better?
No, not really.
Okay. Up towards Kansas City.
Okay.
In summer.
Yeah, there's nothing. It actually sounds worse than before. This is very unfortunate, of course. So I'm trying to think of something we can do. I don't have any ideas, but unfortunate. Okay. So maybe there's a time. Can we get you back on for a couple of minutes tomorrow night, perhaps? Okay. All right. I'm gonna have to call it. It's just completely crapping out now. Damn. Big damn. It's when it rains, it pours, right? Okay. 8:02. Not going to an intermission. That's for damn sure. I'm just going to let people call in. 914-200-0269. And anything else I had for tonight can just go the way of the dodo bird. 914-200-0269. Give me a buzz. And I'm going to have to figure that out. That is such a great topic, a great call. I have some questions I don't want interrupted by technology. And damn, you know what it is? It's just it's just the month of January. I can't stand this month. Is Mercury usually in retrograde in the month of January? Is that like a retrograde month in general? Because I have no luck with anything in January. Let's take a call. 304, you're on the air. Go ahead.
All right, man. It's Cherokee Country Boy, and I love old King when he comes on, but I'm going to go ahead and do my New York skit, if that's all right with you.
You have a New York skit?
I'm going to try my best.
Okay, go ahead. I want to hear this.
All right. Yo, King, how about Donald fucking Trump, man? He's going to do he's going to do his job. That's all he's going to do. He's going to come in. He's going to do his shit. He's going to get it done. We're going to be happy. There we go. That's all I got.
there was a couple of moments there where I said, okay, all right, he's hooking into something, and then that twang comes in at the end. It's like, no, he's back to being Southern again.
Yep.
Well, it was a good attempt. In fact, I would love to hear more Southerners call into the show and give me your best New York accent. I would love to hear that.
Yeah, I got nervous. So
no. I'm glad that you attempted it. I'm glad you attempted it. It lifted my spirits. I appreciate it.
Sweet, brother. Appreciate your show, man. You keep doing what you're doing.
I will, to whatever extent that I can. Thank you so much. OC Hot Legs. It's so good to hear from you. Cheer me up, please.
Okay. So don't you think that yesterday was the most amazing political day of your entire life?
Oh, no doubt about it. 2016, everything that was going on around there, that was magic right there too, because of course it's forget about who's on whose side. How's this all going to turn out? The gravity of the situation, we witnessed something incredible. It was amazing.
But I want to talk about the guy that you just could not get on the show and the pardons for just a minute.
Yeah.
Because I would bet that your audience and many, many more people than your audience felt such an incredible sense of relief at those pardons, just in the fact that we don't have to worry about being in D.C. on that day anymore, myself included.
It is. See, let me tell you, I know everybody. We've had many talks on this show of what you can expect from Donald Trump 2.0. Is he one of them? Is he truly the outsider candidate? Is it a little of both? Is it white? Is it black? Is it gray? I think that the pardoning of those people, 1,500 lives that were hanging in the balance, that were being tortured already for 4 years, and many of them were going to be there for sometimes decades more. That in itself is such a it's such an objectively good thing. Like you said, I felt like I can take a breath of fresh air, and it wasn't even me in there. Like, can you think about the kind of drama that we were following along with all throughout 2024, and then think about somebody like Taylor who's in prison, following along with all the news that we were getting, but knowing that his life and people like him, their lives hang in the balance. Donald Trump has to survive 2024,
Yeah.
and then he has to win.
Yes. I have 2 DC police on either side of me right now, and it still gives me the shivers. Honestly, just for being in DC on that day, every time I go to an airport, I have worried about getting pulled out. I mean, I've spent years of my life worrying about who's coming to my door, and I feel like that weight is gone. It's an amazing feeling just for that little thing. About all the other things that we have to worry about that's been going on in our life in the last 4 years from COVID and everything, just that one little worry to be gone is like how you feel when you get done skiing and you take off your boots and your skis and you can just fly because it was so heavy, dragging me down. I know that everybody feels that way, that have been worried about having somebody come to their door in the middle of the night and take them to jail. So that one thing was just an amazing thing that he did. And I didn't believe he was going to do it.
Did you walk into the building that day?
No.
Oh, okay.
But a lot of people didn't.
Oh, but you were there.
I was there.
Yeah. Well, I have.
But I've been afraid to tell people that. That's my point.
Oh, I understand.
Like, it's terrible, like living in a police state. And I feel like we're no longer living in a police state. Maybe that's not true, but that's how I feel.
I have 1 or 2 friends who were there that day as well, whose faces are on insurrectionwatch.com, and there's multiple websites out there that exist to put out faces that are taken from CCTV cameras and all that stuff. People who are in the crowds that have not been apprehended yet. Who is this person? Oh, they have been going. The hunt was continuing, and the fact that all that is gone right now, for the 1,500 that are getting released, there are thousands more who are breathing easy right now, and I feel good for all of you.
Just the fact that I might have bought a sandwich that day in DC, knowing that my bank has turned all those records over. I mean, this is crazy, but I feel light.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy. I'm happy, and I'm happy you called in. Thank you, C.
Take care.
All right, take care. Yeah. There's quite a bit of that. There's quite a bit of people breathing deep, and there's a lot of people who are going to be able to start talking a little bit more, and I can't wait to talk to people. Damn, I wanted to talk to Taylor. We're going to figure that out. Where it has to be. I'll get to the top, the bottom of that, to the top of that conversation. We'll go all the way through it again. I promise you. But yeah, let's take another call. 585, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Frank. How's it going tonight?
That's all right. Who's this?
This is Craig from Rochester, New York.
How are you, Craig?
I love your daughter, by the way. She's so freaking cute.
She is, and she's I mean, I'll tell you, it just gets better and better, and I'm I don't know. Like I said, she's a lifesaver.
Boy, did you see the good news today? The 51 generals who freaking said the Biden laptop shit was Russian collusion. Trump took their clearances away today.
Oh, I know. And then that Mark Zaid, the Mark Zaid guy, who was he's a gigantic Democrat lawyer shill type of guy. He was complaining a couple of days ago that some of his clients who are on that 51 person list, might be getting their clearances taken away. It's like, yeah.
Well, I didn't even hear that part, but I'm just glad they're all gone. I'm not tired of winning yet.
No.
And before I think of it, I tried to call in the other night when you were talking about the Looking Glass project. I think that is so freaking interesting.
You're talking about the Stargate that they're talking about? Stargate?
No. Looking glass, where they could look into the future with the quantum computers.
Well, I don't know if there was quantum computers involved with Looking Glass, but yeah, we're talking about the quantum chips and the Stargate thing that they just announced.
No, well, this is from last week or whatever. But you were talking about, I unless I missed it, I thought you were talking to certain people that they could see into the future, and it wasn't necessarily Q people or whatever.
Oh, you're talking. Yeah, when we were doing the Trump time travel thing on Friday, and we had
Time travel.
yeah, we had mentioned Andrew Bashago. That's that was a the jump rooms to Mars and all that stuff. We were talking about the chrononauts that came up that night.
Yeah, well, I think it's very interesting. I don't know whether you ever followed her. I listened to Tori. Tori says
I know Tori.
She gives you a compliment. She actually likes your show also.
Every once in a while, my cousin will tell me, "Hey, Tori shouted you out," and it's always really nice to hear because it reminds me that Tori's out there, and I haven't talked to her in a while. I feel like so many people who were in constant contact at one point or another are just kind of doing their own thing. And even though we're on the internet, thank you so much, caller. And I want to get into those things again. We're going to follow up with a lot of that. I have a list. Even the caller, Mark, that called in the other night, who was there from the beginning with a lot of talk radio in the 1990s and all that. I followed up. He got back to me. I'm asking him about dates to come on the show. Haven't gotten anything yet, but I'm sure that'll come around. But I feel even with the internet, I mean, people are really just a URL away. You're talking about a combination of letters away from seeing somebody, and they can still feel like they're on the other side of the universe sometimes. And a lot of people drift all around, but I always wish everybody well. Keep your nose clean, do well. Mark Zaid, attorney handling cases of national security clearances, government investigation, Freedom of Information Act, and whistleblowing, nonpartisan. He said this, it would be quite ironic that at the same time executive order is issued to suspend security clearances of my clients, 851, who did nothing but exercise First Amendment rights. White House claims it supports restoration of freedom of speech and seeks to end federal censorship. So this weasel, Mark Zaid, who, if I remember correctly, his YouTube activity was exposed at one point, and he has a major obsession with Disney, which is a red flag for an adult male. Major obsession with Disney. And he's talking about how Donald Trump has 200 executive orders that were lined up yesterday on Inauguration Day. One of them had to do with starting to, beat back government censorship and keep government out of any kind of publishing on the internet. Whatever the hell it is, there's a lot of things that just don't have any real details yet. Okay? Say, oh, he just signed an executive order for this. All right, well, what does it mean? That I really don't understand. And there's a lot of things there, too, that, of course, are out of the purview of the executive branch altogether. There's just going to be that we have to go through. But for this guy who represents any number of the 51 intelligence assets who are out there in 2020, colluding with each other to say that everything about Hunter Biden's laptop that was found was Russian, had all the earmarks of Russian disinformation. Don't listen to it, while the White House is going and twisting the arm of Mark Zuckerberg, twisting the arm of Jack over there at Twitter at the time, and telling them to censor everything from the New York Post on down or up. Now, how much arm twisting had to be done? I'm sure there was a lot of berating. I'm sure that there's a lot of leftists that were at Twitter that was like, hey, you know what? I don't like Donald Trump at all. I don't want him to win either. But this is a powder keg situation. Eventually, one day, we're going to be found out to be slaves to the state. Well, we knew all about it now. But here's the thing. This is their lawyers right here. It would be quite ironic at the same time that these executive orders are out there saying that we need to support free speech and all that stuff, that he's trying to take away First Amendment exercise rights of my clients. That's not First Amendment. They were out there running an intelligence operation. It was an act of war. That's not a First Amendment right to collude with your other spook friends to commit an act of war against your country during an election, to suppress information that voters should need. So it's information that's not just an affair, not just something that would be a scar on the face of the candidate coming in, that he had some kind of sexual indiscretion somewhere. We're talking about influence peddling. Influence. We're talking about the buying and selling of influence. We're talking about the dealing with foreign powers, those that are supposed to be, our enemies. It's another reason why they say TikTok is Chinese and it's dangerous. This is coming from what? This is coming from people who, at a certain level up the ladder there, whether they have red ties or blue ties on, they are doing deals with China. Hunter was partners with a spy chief in China. Everybody's doing these partnerships over here. It's like, they all have partnerships that are long-standing. And we're supposed to just fight about national security issues that I really don't believe exist. At least not to the extent that they say it is. But the fact that this guy can say that the White House is engaging in hypocrisy for trying to end federal censorship on this and that, and meanwhile they're taking away security clearances and essentially going after ex-CIA, DNI. Well, who the hell knows where the hell they were of the 51? That they're going after them for exercising First Amendment rights, essentially censoring them. That has nothing to do with censorship. That's an act of war. One of many, by the way. 2020 was like 15,000 acts of war on top of each other. Just incredible. Then there's the pardons. Chris Ann Hall was asked about the pardons. I also want to revisit birthright citizenship, which we did. We did on, I think it was a Halloween episode in 2018 or 2019. I remember it was the Halloween episode that I wore the long Peter Steele wig. I got to go back to that, and we have to do a review on it, because of course now everybody's saying, "Oh no! If you crawl over the border of the United States and shit out a baby, they are not only citizens, but then through migration chain, the chain migration theory as well. Everybody, including the mailman back home in Ecuador, they are citizens too by right." We went through all that. We did a deep dive into the 14th Amendment back then in 2018 or 19. I got to go check it out. I know it was Halloween themed because I was wearing a wig. But here's what Chris Ann Hall said about all the pardons, because someone said, "Chris Ann, can you please explain if there's anything that can be done about these pardons? Is treason included? What about state crimes?" And she said, treason cannot be pardoned. State crimes cannot be pardoned. Pardons cannot be challenged. Pardons are not what most people think. Pardons are not papers for full forgiveness. Pardons are more like get out of jail free cards. Pardons do not remove ability to prosecute. They only restore certain civil rights after prosecution. And she explained that on this show before. So, to what extent are these pardons going to help people? I don't know. To what extent is the Trump administration concerned with actually going out there and punishing evil who have committed evil? I mean, it's one thing to say, you stole. It's another thing to say you stole and you killed because you want to enslave. Like, it's just worse than that. Like, for example, even with Anthony Fauci, there's more really great commentary that's come out from everybody. There's tons of dots being connected and things being suggested and theorized. War Clandestine pointed out again the significance of the January 1st, 2014 date, which is what all the pardons that we have seen since the election, that's where they've all started. They started on January 1st, 2014. Now, that is very interesting, especially when it comes to the Bidens, like Hunter Biden. That was the first one. We're like, oh, so everything in the last decade, starting in the month, the year that everybody started getting jobs over there at Burisma, they're right on the heels of the CIA coup and everything else. Same thing with Fauci, which War Clandestine puts on out there and says, hey, not for nothing. Fauci's pardon also begins on January 1st, 2014, just like Hunter. Why is that? Because this is when the Obama CIA State Department took over Ukraine. And what, of course, has been one of the top things to be censored on if you're talking about this stuff on certain platforms over the last couple of years, especially since the Ukraine war with Russia broke out in 2022. Well, there are certain types of laboratories out there that have been well admitted to, even by those potato-faced bitches like Victoria Nuland. Of course, they want you to think that it's not, nefarious and somebody else is really the bigger evil out there. But there is a lot of gain-of-function stuff that's going on. And for as bad and as much as Wuhan and China took it on the chin, and to what extent certain things were outsourced over there too, who knows? I mean, it's all just such a mess. But the dates of the pardons are they insinuate a lot. Is it about bioweapon production? That's a good one. Anthony Fauci, who of course goes out there and says, I'm not, I did nothing wrong. Fauci claims he did nothing wrong after Biden preemptive. Good, then reject the pardon. Reject the pardon, you marsupial-faced fuck. Look at you. Oh, man. It's going to be very hot where he's going. The pardon, along with the ones for all members of the January 6th Select Committee and Mark Milley, was announced by Biden's X account. Yeah, it was actually the X account that announced it. It probably wasn't Biden. The X account is probably autonomous, fully autonomous. Because it has nothing to do with a human being. Let's see. ABC News chief Washington correspondent says Fauci told him that the pardon is appreciated, but that he still claims complete innocence in regards to his role as head of NIH and the funding of dangerous gain-of-function research, from which it is now generally accepted came the COVID pandemic. It creates immeasurable and intolerable distress on me and my family that there's this threats of possibility of politically motivated persecution, isn't it? Yeah, it once was good to be the king. We don't believe you anymore. There's some zombies out there that would, but here's the thing. A lot of people have brought this up and brought it to the fore that accepting a pardon is actually de facto admission of a crime, and there's legal precedent. There's U.S. Supreme Court case Burdick versus United States 236 U.S. 79, 1915. And it's there. It really is there. So yeah, I mean that's just one thing. That's one thing. And of course, that's only the start of Anthony Fauci's trail of blood. Again, where is it? Liam Sheff's work is over there. We have to read it one. I've been putting that off for a long time. We've got to read the letter in Liam Sheff's book, Official Stories, The Scarlet Letter. We got to read that chapter about AIDS, what AIDS is, and how the AZT crisis is really what it should have been. It's a provocative, very, very provocative chapter. And Anthony Fauci makes a little appearance in it. No doubt about it. He makes a little bit of an appearance. But yeah, it's just, when you read it, you start getting challenged. It's one of those things you start getting challenged because if you're reading it in 2020 or after, you start saying to yourself, holy shit, It's the same test that they were using. It's the same people involved. It's the same playbook where the treatment is more deadly than the supposed disease. Was there a disease? What was it? Was it a complete fabrication, or was it just a recategorization of a seasonal flu that somehow disappeared? And then, I still think about my doctor saying, well, we don't have to do a flu shot or anything else like that because everybody's been using masks. And so the flu really hasn't been around lately. What? Double take. Spit take. It was, there's a lot going on here. President Trump executive action mega thread. Here's a list of executive orders that Trump has signed so far. We did this: withdraw from the Paris Treaty, telling federal employees to return to work, end of weaponization of government against political opponents. I'd like to see, these are the things that you hear it, you're like, oh, good, it's over with. How is it implemented? Trump signed an executive order to address the cost of living that skyrocketed under the Biden-Harris administration. Again, things that you need to hear. What are you talking about? How do you address the cost of living with an executive order? First of all, there is no enumerated power for that. There's nothing enumerated in the Constitution about that. There's no, how does the executive branch have the ability to write an order to try to alleviate any kind of economic situation at a grocery store? There is none. There is none. Work with your majority to destroy the regulatory state and to lower taxes and give people more of their money. In fact, all of their money. That's really what this is about. Give people freedom again and let the economy take care of itself. But even if this is some kind of a stopgap measure, what is it? Because I just put gas in my car yesterday and nothing has changed. And the executive order was already, 24 hours old. So where are we going? Let's see here. So freeze on federal hiring, just rescinding a whole bunch of the Biden era executive actions. Signed an executive order pardoning all 1,500 J6 defendants, designated cartels as terrorist organizations. Trump signed an executive order to secure the southern border. Okay. Signed an order restoring merit-based hiring system at the federal government. Good. TikTok granting them an extension to sell to an American buyer. That I don't understand either. The whole TikTok thing is very weird with me. So I want to hear what you think about that. But ordering the creation of Department of Government Efficiency. So Doge is getting kicked off. Now, there was also the freeze on foreign aid, and I looked into it. It was a 90-day freeze, 90-day pause in the United States foreign development assistance for assessment of programmatic efficiencies and consistency with the United States foreign policy. All department and agency heads with responsibility, the United States Foreign Development Assistance Program shall immediately pause new obligations and disbursements of development assistance funds to foreign countries and implementing non-governmental organizations, international organizations, and contractors pending reviews of such programs for programmatic efficiency and consistency with the United States foreign policy to be conducted within 90 days of this order. So inside of it, it says that the Secretary of State may waive the pause in Section 3A for specific programs. So listen, we see that and we say, foreign aid is paused for 90 days. Like, yes. And as I said on Twitter, make it 90 years, please, across the board. Nothing for anybody. You want to talk about quid pro quo. Everybody says, oh, there's quid pro quo out there. Well, isn't that the standing policy? Isn't that standing foreign policy right now? We give money that has been stolen from citizens who would be much more. It would go to much more use much more use, good use of people here at home who are producing the money to keep the money, keep it in their homes, and keep it with their families, and to pad their savings. I don't know, maybe open up a retirement account since Social Security is going down the shitter. Instead, you're taking from people over here who are struggling and giving it to foreign countries so that they will act in accordance with our will. Isn't that quid pro quo? So that's just the standard operating procedure for our government. And what's the standard, and who's influencing the standard, and who is it really benefiting? Is it benefiting us, or is it benefiting our beneficiaries? Yeah, it was like, well, one thing that they're not going to stop giving it to Israel or whatever. It's like, of course that's not going to happen. That's not what this is about. That's not what this is about. God knows how much is cut off, but it's not going to be that much. The 90-day pause to assess things and all that stuff, it needs to be eliminated. Very, very. I can assess it all right now. All gone. All gone. Then everybody has the same gripe. You can't call us anti-Semitic. You can't call us anti-this, pro-this. Everybody can just take care of them fucking selves. Take care of yourselves. I could have assessed that in a second. You don't even need the Secretary of State. The Secretary of Frankly. Call me up, and I'll tell you exactly what the assessment is. Oh, nobody gets a red cent. It's all gone. Gone. And I want my refund. Somebody. Tell the AI at the IRS to calculate in a nanosecond how much of all the spending from the last 10 years was directly attributed to me, Frank, and I want it back. Everybody else should be able to request their refund too. That's a refund. Not giving over, 40% of your labor to a bunch of fucking freaks. To a bunch of freaks. And then they give you a pittance back. Oh, here you go. Here's your refund. Yeah, for what services? You freaks. Incredible. So you don't need anything. I'm a little, listen, when technology does not treat me well, it is very hard for me to rub the stain off. I am not very happy right now that we lost 38 minutes. So yes, I'm in a kind of mood. But if we were to walk into each other in the street, I would be very pleasant. It's just, this is like a safe zone for me where I can kind of let it all out. I would definitely love to have a cigar. I haven't had a cigar since like Thanksgiving. It's just too cold. Not in the mood to go out there and have a cigar. Your shoulders up by your ears. I want to sit back, have it be a nice sweet summer night. Watch summer get canceled. That'll be the next thing. All right. I don't know. There's more, but we'll get around to it as time goes on. All right, into the super chats. Quite frankly, superchat.com. Jay Britz, who's always there waiting. Thank you. I wish more people would hang out with Jay Britz at quite frankly superchat.com. I sure hope Aurora didn't learn any new spicy words tonight. No, I don't think so. I think she went upstairs. And before she came in, she was downstairs. I wouldn't have let it rip like that if she was hanging out like right outside the door in the living room and stuff like that. So I kind of have an understanding of where people are. But yeah. Thank you, Jay, for looking out. All right, over on Rumble, let's see here. Gypsy Princess says, "Here's to Lauren's chummy belly. I love that little Aurora miracle. She's a lifesaver, I'll tell you." What else do we have here? Two Dogs Mike D says, "With all this crazy weather, we need to get Jim Lee to audit HARP. Around 6 years ago, he bet my sweet ass he would do it if allowed. I would love for him to do it too." Let me tell you something, and it's been put out there by, I think, Mindy Robinson. But I have some under good authority what's been happening over there too with Make America Healthy Again, the Maha stuff. This show knew one or two people who were up for some really significant interviews at HHS and stuff like that. And for a time, all throughout the latter half of November and into the earlier weeks of December, there was one woman in particular, a radical environmentalist leftist woman who I guess was some kind of an RFK Jr. hanger-on from years past, who had stuck around and for some reason was given a position to vet incoming potential staff for, RFK at HHS. And it started getting around pretty quick that this woman was a combative, very, very salty leftist who was there to really make things hard and to attack people who were coming in who were really excited to serve and who would have really been awesome for our country. I know of at least one or two who got completely lambasted by this bitch. And it's been getting around a little bit more. And now, thankfully, I heard that person's out of there. But you want to talk about making the way for people like Jim Lee to get in there and audit HARP and to actually empower these types of people, or even to have someone that is cut from the same cloth as you and I, who is willing to sign off on, FOIA requests for anything, who's there that has the ability to just grant FOIA requests and just show whatever the hell you want. I mean, that's really what we need. We need information. We need disclosure. And I'm talking about everywhere. Disclosure on everything from every department. That is just, we got to just empty it all out. So you bring up Jim Lee and the audit. He wasn't one of them. I don't know where his application process took him, but I know he was in the running and he really wanted to be in there, and he deserves to be. A lot of the people that we know who want to serve, they deserve to be. But yeah, Jay Semo says, tough night technically, but you pulled it off. Great show. Thanks. Well, thank you, Jay. You're fantastic. I still got book club after this. I'm just happy I don't have to cancel book club because I'll figure something out to make things right with Taylor. That'll be a wonderful conversation. Hopefully we can do it tomorrow. But I wouldn't want to push this off again. All right. Agent Oddball says, what did the egg say to the comedian? I don't know. Agent Oddball. You should have put the punchline in there so we don't have to wait. Stephen and Lori says, Aurora is so super cute. A hug makes everything better. Does. Brings my heart rate down big time. Robert Sarnes, thank you. Paulie9363 says, Secretary of Frankly. I'll do it. Quite secretarially. Here is a comment from the comment section on Rumble from last night. Here's what Judson had to say. Let me know what you think about this. Permission to bring up something no one else has been talking about, Frank? Even when a normal little person checks into a hotel, there's always a period of time between when the previous guests leave and you come in, when staff of highly skilled cleaning people make it sanitary for the new guest. Highly skilled? You hope so. Don't, go and get to the room with the black light. Now, knowing what we know about the Biden family, there could literally be baggies of crack forgotten and left in Barron's room, not to mention that the whole family looks like they pick their nose and wipe their boogers under the furniture and perhaps smear crap all over the walls. What if Barron steps barefoot on a needle and catches AIDS and monkeypox from a needle that hunters... Oh, I'm getting weak in the knees. From a needle that Hunter accidentally dropped on the carpet. Plus, all the audio and video bugs everywhere that the deep state has likely left in every single room. That said, who else thinks that the Trumps are only going to pretend to be living there for at least several weeks until this all gets professionally sorted out? Cheers, Judson and Buddy. God bless you all. You know what? There's some humorous little nuggets in there about the needles and the crack left all over the place and, wanting to keep Barron all right. But I think, I don't know. If you were Donald Trump, wouldn't you still spend a little bit more time down in Florida while a team that you know personally sweeps through everything there? Yeah. Oh, I think so. Oh, you know what? And speaking of that, take a listen to this. Take a listen to this. This is from Chanel Ryan at OAN. And she was saying about there was a plan that they had to control Trump's second term. His second term, and the guy's name was Mike Turner. Take a listen to this little spot that she released on January 18th, 2 days before the inauguration.
Cleaning house is dirty work. It's getting rid of things you've been holding on to for a little too long. And that's Washington right now on the eve of Trump's return. Exhibit 1, the ouster of Mike Turner. Now, Mike Turner isn't a household name, so his firing may not mean much to you right now, but it's a big deal. And Democrats and Mockingbird Press are panicking. And I use that last line deliberately. The old guard, CIA and Swamp, are very upset over Mike Turner's firing.
On a big shakeup on Capitol Hill, the Speaker of the House firing the Republican chair of the House Intel Committee. Why? What does this mean?
Exactly. It is extraordinary as well. Mike Turner is known for being bipartisan as chair in his oversight of the intelligence community. I spoke with him. He told me this afternoon, Speaker Johnson called him into his office and said, "You're fired. There are concerns from Mar-a-Lago." In other words, Donald Trump, the president-elect, told Mike Johnson to fire the man overseeing the intelligence community who has access to some of the nation's greatest secrets. Now, there was no explanation as to why, but big picture here, Nora, this is not how government's supposed to work.
You're right. You're right. We have way too much secrecy, and we are seeing, again, from before, 51 intelligence workers, 51 spooks have lost their clearance. This is not how it's supposed to work. Yeah, no, it's not supposed to work when they all get together to lie, to cover up, to frame, to entrap. Fuck them all. That's not the way it's supposed to work. That's right. That's right. But go ahead. I want to hear you. I want to hear you twist a little bit more.
Correction. This is not how the swamp is supposed to work. Translation? The swamp just lost another lifeline. Mike Turner is a Republican congressman from Ohio's 10th District. He's been a full-time D.C. politician for 22 years. Turner is at the heart of Republican circles, a long-standing figure in the establishment. He's been a Ukraine NATO hawk. He loves the FISA court's ability to spy on any American it wants. He loves sending billions to the military-industrial complex. He is, in turn, loved by the current intelligence community. Turner's firing is important. Take heart in this headline because it has all the right people panicking.
So that's from Chanel Ryan. Little things like that, paying attention to, because there's going to be plenty of other things. The Stargate AI initiative with OpenAI and SoftBank and Oracle. I don't, these are things that are they make me nervous. These are the things that they just make me nervous. On the other hand, it's funny to see our headlines like this. QAnon shaman says he's buying motherfucking guns. After the Trump pardon, Jacob Chansley, otherwise known as a QAnon shaman, said on Monday he's going to buy some guns after being pardoned by President Trump. It's just hilarious to me because for many people out there who really, clung to January 6th and hoping that this was going to be the thing that really buried Donald Trump and all of his supporters and kept them under a rock for a long time and whatever, they had gotten them right where they want them. And then all of a sudden now it's like the scene in Ghostbusters where the Ghostbusters are ordered to release the holding cell for, release the containment unit under the firehouse for all the ghosts. And now that's all the ghosts, all the January 6th ghouls have come out. I like that. Oh my gosh. That's hilarious to me. Oh no, all the people that we turned into insurrectionists, 1,500 of them are coming back home. I really hope, that's one thing I got to ask Taylor. I really, what comes next? Class action lawsuits? I want to see the government sued into oblivion. I want them to be sued into oblivion just for the chance to see some of these things going to trial and for there to be discovery and to subpoena more and more of any of the footage there and whatever. Oh man, I'd love to see it. Again, disclosure. The only thing I care about. There's gonna be a lot of other spooky things going on, and we'll talk about it all to the best of our ability. But yeah, okay. It's 8:46. I'll take one or two more calls, and then I'm going to get off and get ready for book club so that I can formulate a plan for the next day, so that we can really get back on track and not lose too much ground. Because the off day on Thursday, and again the off day on Monday, because I have to go to town hall to do some complaining about what is being proposed for the building that Studio A is in. I don't like losing that kind of time, but sometimes you just got to do it. All right, let's take a call. 219, you're on the air. Hello.
Hey, Frank, John Otter.
Hey, John. Good to hear from you again.
Loving you, dude. I got a feel good for you.
Okay, great.
That I haven't heard anybody talk about the inauguration. One of the three wise men, the second of the three wise men that gave up and gave inspirationals during that. He was, I thought he was going to slip into full Reverend Brown from Coming to America. Not so much his message, but his presentation. He was citing and channeling Martin Luther King.
Yes, I understand. Yeah, at the actual inauguration.
Yeah, he was just, I was just sitting there kind of just laughing and smiling. It was great, man. He was, not so much his message, but man, he was putting out some vibes, and it brought a smile to my face. I thought it might bring a smile to your face tonight.
It's true. I was watching that. I was having lunch with Aurora, and they went through the swearing in process and all that stuff, and then they brought on the rabbi, and then they brought on the preacher, and they brought on a couple other people. I forget, but the preacher, the black preacher.
Yeah, he was killing it, man.
He really was. That's a real talent to be able to channel that kind of energy, and he was exploding with it, and it felt very, very genuine. And I truly appreciated it. And it was one of those things where when somebody's really in the zone, it's almost as if they've struck a tuning fork, and you can actually feel the buzz in your own bones. And it was a good moment. I liked it.
Yeah, and what really, what made it special was the glances that the left side of the crowd were making, like, oh my God, I can't believe that they're using our people. It was just, it was just so proud for me to, just feel that. I felt great about it. I walked away. I bounced around the house for a while after that.
Yeah, it was a very interesting day. And, I think, John, one of the best things was that there was, on a personal level with this show and everything, was I was looking forward to the 7:00 broadcast, but prior to the 7 p.m. and after, we essentially had a live chat and really great programming on the website the entire day from about 11 in the morning to close to 11:30 at night. I was watching that on Quite Frankly TV when Trump cut the cake with Vance and started dancing with the sword in his hand, and I'm like what the hell? It's just been going on all day. It was one hell of a thing to just kind of watch and be a part of, because I
was with you most of the time, man, and it felt good to be there with you, because and the crowd, your crowd on Quite Frankly TV, what a great group of people over there, man. You got just such a loving group of people over there, man.
That's the burning core right there, especially because
flash us a cheesy smile tonight, Frank. We need one big old cheesy smile before you cut the show off, okay?
All right, I'll see where I can find one. All right, thanks for the call.
Love you.
All right, take care. Cheesy smiles. What are you gonna do? Let's see. Another one. 513, you're on the air. Who's this?
Hi, Frank. This is Angie from Ohio. How are you?
Angie, great to hear from you. Go ahead.
I came across a little nugget today saying that the cornerstone of the deep state is the SES, which is the Senior Executive Service for Biden.
Yeah.
And if you look it up, it's interesting the names that are on this of course Kamala is on it. And Ketanji Brown.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do some more research, but it's something to like really get into and see who he continues to fire at this point.
Well, the Senior Executive Service, that's one of those things that have been it usually rears its head one way or another when people are talking about government accountability and being able to rid DC and the bureaucracy full of people who are very hard to fire. And that's just one of those most the more lasting stains on the bureaucracy right there. The SES. And there's other things there too, like the NRO, and I remember that we spent a lot of time on that in like 2014, 15.
Yeah.
And it's out there. I mean, there's so many intelligence organizations there too. I mean, you want to talk about superfluous just presence in there and things that are unaccountable. There's so many things that are going on in within our government that it's so easy to lose track, and it could be done away with so easily. I just wish that we had the gumption, and perhaps we do, and we're going to know very, very soon.
Definitely many tentacles, but at this point, this might be the cornerstone of who's been running everything.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of oldies. There's a lot of oldies in there, just like with the National Security Council. Thank you, Angie. National Security Council, how that's just essentially become a country club. There's so many country club kind of agencies out there. SES is one of them. You want to call it a cornerstone? I'm sure you can, but there's a lot of cornerstones. It's a lot of cornerstones. And it was the NGOs. It was the CFRs. Remember, it was the CFRs, the trilateral commissions, things like that. Those were the ones that were established first to be able to get in and influence what was actually going on inside of government. You know, before the infiltration was actually so deep and so complete that you can just call the FBI your home. It was owning offices outside of that and just trying to, I don't know, peddle your way in. We'll talk about that. It's always good to make rounds back in there and burrow some holes. But for now, I'm cutting off at 8:54 so I can get ready for the book club. And tomorrow at 7:00, swear to God, I'll be live. I think I'll be live at Studio A, though it's going to be colder than today. I think tomorrow it's going to be like single digits in the morning, and then it I don't know, it warms up and we start getting a little bit more toasty. Somewhere around 13 degrees. Be very toasty around midday. 13. Thursday's not looking much better, but like right now it's not very windy. So if it's 9 degrees outside, I was talking about this with my mother. It could be 0 degrees outside. And if there's no wind, you put on a hat, you put on a coat, and it's nice. It's wonderful. But once the wind kicks up to even 5 miles an hour on a day like that, it's literally like somebody's throwing knives at you. And I don't know. If there's no snow out there, I can't tolerate it. Snow has at least some utility. We get to go outside. Get to pull the baby, just get to pull her. Nice. Put her on her disc and just run because we don't have any hills. But more on that tomorrow. I'll be live from somewhere. I'll make sure that all my video drivers are updated before I try this shit again. And you guys have been wonderful. Thank you so much. For those of you who are reading Fahrenheit 451 with us, I'll be seeing you in a few minutes. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Email the show and become a sponsor of the show. I know nights like tonight are a little bit all over the place. I'm certainly not following a format right now, and the one surprise guest we didn't work out too well technologically, but that'll be fixed. But I still like improvising with you, and again, I hope that you have a nice, warm, and fulfilling night. Until tomorrow, have a good one.
I'll catch you on the flip side.
Quite Frankly is filmed before a live studio audience, and now our super chatters, starting with Jay Brits and ending with Jay Brits. Thank you to our Rumble ranters. That's Gypsy Princess and Jay Semo and Two Dogs Mike D. Thank you for all of your support. It really means everything to this show. Thank you to all of our good friends on QuiteFrankly.tv. The After Hours is about to start, and I will see you guys soon. See you guys soon.